Reports this morning that Russia hit the Ukrainian port city of Odessa with a hypersonic missile. A supermarket and a warehouse were hit. At least one person killed, many more hurt. And then in a small city in eastern Ukraine, 44 bodies have been found in the rubble of a building destroyed by Russia. This attack was back in March. Ukrainian officials say this is further proof of the war crimes that Russian forces have committed. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian officials said that at least 100 civilians do remain trapped at that steel plant in Mariupol, where Ukrainian fighters continue to make a last stand there. This all happening after Russia celebrated Victory Day yesterday. Russia's President Vladimir Putin delivered a speech on what's happening in Ukraine, where he claimed the invasion was necessary in order to, quote, defend the homeland. Dr. Thomas Porter is a professor of Russian and modern European history at North Carolina A&T State University, and Dr. Porter joins us to talk about these developments. So you watched the speech that Putin gave yesterday on Victory Day. What did you think? Did he say what you might have expected on this huge celebration there in Russia?
Not at all. I expected some kind of call to arms, some kind of mobilization, something about a war economy, something along those lines. And instead, it seemed to me like he was rushing through the speech. It was really kind of pro forma. And he didn't even mention Ukraine once, which is very interesting because he has a psychological defense mechanism where he doesn't mention his opponents, like Alexei Navalny. He always refers to him as that person, you know, who we allegedly poisoned. He'll never say his name. He never said Ukraine. And interestingly, he only said that the Donbass was going to be protected. So he's actually, you know, changed his war goals.
Navalny is someone who has very much been a protester of Putin and his policies and has fought back, and famously someone that he poisoned.
Exactly.
So this is something where I think we need to remind people, in Russia, there is no war against Ukraine. Putin has never even acknowledged that Russia is at war. So some people were expecting that maybe yesterday during that speech, he would finally say, we are at war. And that's what you're saying. He chose not to do that.
Exactly. He still refers to it as a special military operation. But in fact, it's a war. And I think the Russian people know this. They've already lost as many men in 10 weeks as the Soviet Union did in 10 years in Afghanistan. According to the British Defense Ministry, at least 15,000 men, and the Ukrainians claim over 20,000. And that's quite possible. They've run out of supplies, they've run out of material. Their 2 tank factories are now closed because they're not getting those semiconductors we talked about a few weeks ago. And so they couldn't even have their flyby at the parade yesterday. There were supposed to be 77 planes representing the 77 years since the great victory over the Nazis, and they canceled it because of bad weather. It was a perfectly fine day. And they're running out of planes, they're running out of tanks. Their tanks have the design flaw where if you just hit them in a certain place, the turret pops off and it blows up. It's shocking how incompetent and poorly led. In fact, some units are refusing to advance. Even officers are refusing to follow out their orders.
So we know the losses to the people of Russia, the losses to the people of Ukraine. What we are now knowing is genocide happening in Ukraine, and what that can mean to the future of all of these people.
Exactly. Now, there's no doubt that the International Criminal Court will indict Putin eventually for crimes of aggression and war crimes, crimes against humanity. The Security Council of the UN can refer cases to the ICC, but the ICC is independent because, of course, the Security Council has Russia sitting on it and they just veto any kind of resolution. But the ICC can also accept independently referrals from different countries, and they have already done so. They've received over 50 referrals. So they are investigating. They have investigators in the field. He will be charged with war crimes. And as far as genocide, of course, that's an actual crime, whereas war crimes is a category, crimes against humanity is a category, but genocide is a very specific crime. And one of the strictures of genocide, one of the features, is if you transfer children of the group to another group, and they've done that. They've taken probably 100,000 Ukrainians and taken their children away as well and put them in Russian homes or orphanages. That is genocide by legal definition.
And this is something that I think, as this all continues, scholars like you will continue looking at it and will keep reporting it. And that's what is the sadness of this war as it continues on and the conflict continues. So thank you so much for your time this morning. We'll continue to check in with you as more developments happen.
You're welcome.
Dr. Porter, thank you.